Will the president be monitoring it all or get updates on the House Oversight Committee where the second IRS whistleblower is going to be testifying?
So the president has a busy day tomorrow?
Is the president concerned about the impartiality of the IRS in terms of their work and their investigations that they do then?
I'm just not going to speak to the hearing that's happening tomorrow.
Yeah, she's not going to speak to it. That was White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday refusing to comment on whether President Biden will be watching today's IRS whistleblower hearing. IRS Supervisory Agent Gary Shapley, Whistleblower X, and House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith will all testify today before the House Oversight Committee. Lawmakers will be questioning the witnesses on allegations the FBI and the DOJ interfered with the Hunter Biden tax probe, enabling him to get a slap on the wrist. Joining me right now is Kentucky Congressman, Chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, with us once again. Mr. Chairman, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here.
Good morning.
Let's talk first about the whistleblower testimony. What are you trying to get out this morning? Give us a sense of what we could expect from this hearing.
Well, from reading the transcript that the whistleblowers provided for the House Ways and Means Committee, it was apparent to me that they knew a lot more about the shell companies and the tax evasion and the wire fraud than we ever could have imagined, which we thought was a good sign. Obviously, since nothing was ever done about that, there are a lot of questions there. You read on the testimony and you realize that their investigation was obstructed. So we're going to give the whistleblowers the opportunity to tell us what crimes they felt like the Bidens committed. I think we know that, Maria. You and I have talked about that a lot on your show. But if you have a member of Congress like me, that's chairman of the House Oversight Committee, that says the Bidens committed certain tax crimes, who is the person that will eventually determine whether that is true? It would be these IRS employees. They are the highest ranking employees within the IRS who were in charge of international tax fraud. So we have two credible witnesses that are going to provide very substantive testimony, and I think it's going to be an eye-opening experience for the American people.
Yeah. Well, you've been stonewalled, though, from day one from these agencies, and now we've got this bombshell letter, which reveals the FBI told a former FBI agent who testified before your committee to decline to respond to questions. Just decline your questions. Their warning came just hours before the agent confirmed and corroborated key details of IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley's testimony. Tell me more about that.
Well, we interviewed a former FBI agent who was on detail when the FBI and the IRS was supposed to go interview Hunter Biden about tax fraud. They had that date set. They were actually en route to California when someone tipped off the Secret Service and the Biden transition team that an IRS and FBI employee was about to knock on Hunter Biden's door to ask him about all these potential crimes that he committed. Once the Secret Service and the Biden transition team was tipped off, the lawyers called the IRS and said, if Hunter Biden wants to talk to you, he'll give you a call. Just sit there and wait. And obviously he never called. I mean, from day one, Maria, the Biden family has just pretty much given the investigators the cold shoulder. They have been arrogant. They have just continued to operate as they always have. And that's a terrible sign for our justice system in America.
That is
but
really,
today, hopefully, will be a good day to where we can get the facts out there. And that's what we want. We want to present the facts. We've got a bunch of bank transactions. And sadly, Maria, I've learned that a lot of the press corps here, in addition to their extreme bias, they don't know what an LLC is. They don't know what a shell company is. They don't know what money laundering is, and hopefully today we'll be able to educate these highly educated reporters that are financially illiterate that are trying to cover this story.
Well, your committee released a detailed timeline of the Biden family's influence peddling. You're keying in on these locations and companies: Romania, China, CEFC, China, Bohai Harvest, RST, and Kazakhstan, Congressman. These are all countries where you can identify money was transacted. Money came from those countries and went into one of these 20 shell companies and eventually made its way to a Biden family account. Have you been able to identify what they were paid for? You told me a couple of months ago you were looking to understand better what decisions Joe Biden may have made on a policy front in terms of justifying receiving tens of millions of dollars.
Well, as you know, Maria, the president continues to deny that his family ever got any money, even though we have the bank records and the bank wire transactions to prove that the president continues to lie to the American people. The question we have for the Biden family, what did you do to receive this money? What did you do to receive this money? And not only do they refuse to answer, Maria, not only does the mainstream media refuse to press the president in requiring an answer for this, they act like it's nobody's business. So we are going to continue this investigation. Today is a huge turning point for us because we have two of the most knowledgeable people in America within the IRS who understand international tax laws. We don't know what they did to receive this money. We don't think they paid a penny of taxes on it. And we're concerned that what they did to receive the money pertains to decisions that Joe Biden made while he was vice president and decisions that he's making every day as president that put the Biden family first and Americans last.
Well, I mean, we've been tracking this as well, and we know that when the president first walked into the Oval Office, January 2021, he immediately canceled the China initiative. This was an initiative that was working where, the Trump administration came up with a way to hold people accountable for spying on American citizens and sending information back to communist China. Biden canceled that. We know that there was a memorandum of understanding that the president signed as vice president back in 2014, where he allowed all these Chinese companies to trade on our exchanges and not follow auditing rules. Are these potentially decisions that he was making to pay the Chinese back for the millions that he took in?
You're one step ahead of everybody else, Maria. That's it. Those are two very credible theories that you have there that make no sense. There's no rhyme or reason why any American would support those two policy decisions, yet Joe Biden led on those, both as vice president and president. Now, why would he do something like that? When every American, about the only thing in this building that's bipartisan, about the only thing that Democrats and Republicans, rural legislators and urban legislators, the only thing we agree on is the fact that we need to block China from having more access to our markets. We need to block China from stealing our intellectual properties from our research universities. Yet Joe Biden, as vice president and president, eliminated significant barriers that would prevent China from stealing our intellectual property, that would prevent China from gaining access to our market.
Unbelievable.
So this is something that we're concerned about. This is why we're investigating. And again, until we get answers as to what this family did to receive millions and millions of dollars from foreign nationals, we're going to continue to press forward with this investigation.
Let me just point out, Goldman Sachs earnings are out. The revenue is better than expected. The earnings are weaker than expected. It looks like the market has reversed course and is negative. Goldman Sachs missed expectations with its earnings at $3.08 a share versus an estimate of $3.18 a share. The market has now turned decidedly mixed, possibly because of the Goldman Sachs miss here, and we're following that. But, Mr. Chairman, I got to get back to what you've been doing and the money that is also involved here, because we're still trying to understand how much money this family has taken in. I spoke with Judiciary and Oversight Committee member Andy Biggs this week, and he told me it could be as high as $100 million. Of course, we have no idea how much money this family has taken in, but here's Andy Biggs from yesterday. Watch this.
People wonder, is Joe Biden basically compromised as vis-a-vis the Chinese Communist Party, which runs China, of course. And these things begin to look real. And we're talking, Maria, we're talking literally, it's not $10 million, it's well over $20-30 million, and some estimates as high as $100 million flowing through these accounts.
I mean, this is incredible, Mr. Chairman. Yep. What number have you identified in terms of the money taken in from the Biden family from these foreign nationals?
Well, we think that we can find around $20 to $30 million. We've already identified over $10 million. We have more money that we've found. We just haven't released it yet. We're putting together our third bank memo. As you know, Maria, it's very difficult to obtain these financial records. The Biden lawyers, the Biden legal team, they're intimidating every bank. They're intimidating every witness that we have. But we've been able to obtain a pretty good portion, especially from China. Now we're focused on Ukraine. We're focused on Russia. We're focused on a few new countries that I don't think anybody knew about that we're starting to realize that they were receiving money from. All these countries are adversaries of the United States. All these countries are countries that have reputations for corruption.
Yeah.
But yet the Bidens were sitting there with their hand out while Joe Biden was vice president and in charge of foreign policy and foreign aid. I mean, it's sure looking more and more like a quid pro quo, not just with Ukraine, we know about that, but also with some of these other former Soviet countries.
Yeah.
I mean, this stinks to high heaven, and hopefully today the American people can get a better understanding for the crimes that this family has committed, and yet they continue to walk scot-free and walk around arrogant, living in the White House, just living it up on our tax dime, when any other American that committed a fraction of these crimes would already be incarcerated by now.
Well, I mean, it's even worse than that. You've got a sitting president attacking his potential rival in the upcoming election. Former President Trump says that he's the target of a January 6th grand jury investigation. Now people are expecting a third indictment, Congressman. And this is Joe Biden's DOJ.
Yeah, and it's to the point to where I don't think people are even paying attention to the Trump indictments. I mean, it's almost like the Biden re-election campaign continues to cry wolf here. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't indict Donald Trump right before I hit the gavel for this committee hearing today. Every time we break big news with respect to the Biden criminal investigation, here comes somebody to indict Donald Trump to try to steal the headlines. But I think the American people are paying attention. I think the American people are going to watch this hearing very closely.
Yeah.
It's going to be televised, and hopefully they will get a better understanding for the level of criminality that the first family has participated in over the past decade.
Yeah. Are you expecting that Merrick Garland will be impeached?
Well, I would certainly vote for that. I don't know where the rest of the conference is. That's something that would be a better question for my friend Jim Jordan. He's in charge of the Judiciary Committee. That committee will be leading impeachments. But certainly if they can prove that Merrick Garland has been dishonest, which I think I know the answer to that, but I'm not in charge of investigating Merrick Garland. If they can prove that he's been dishonest with the American people and led a two-tier system of justice, which again, I think I can answer that, Maria, then I think that we'll certainly have a vote, and surely to goodness, 218 Republicans in the House would agree that he needs to go.
Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. We'll be following your work. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.